Okie dokie, given that it's been snowing outside and it's really cold, I think it might be a nice day to do a start video. Just give something a little different from the cat. Now, this is a 1959 Fordson Dexta. It's got a 3-cylinder Ford Pt1, I think 144 engine. It's a 3-cylinder that's based on a Perkins design. So it's been sat here now a few months, and we borrowed some parts off it for the cat, including the solenoid. So let's drop that back in and we drop a battery in it and swing it. No, it probably would start, but this thing has suffered a number of problems with a long time. One of them being that the starter is lazy. The cold start mechanism in it doesn't work. So we're going to address those two problems. We're going to start out some wiring on it and let's see if we can get it cranked up. So let's get going. Hi YouTube, this is 1960 Fordson Dexta. Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Now, this footage was taken in February 2019. It was the first thing I started to record, and it was going to be the first thing I uploaded to the channel. Now, when I went back and looked at it afterwards, there was a lot of problems between the audio, the video, camera just wouldn't focus for me, problems with lighting, and I generally wasn't happy with it. Now, I've come back to the project, and the problem is I've done so much work on this thing, I don't want to just cut into the middle of it. I want you to see what it was like day one. So I'm going to bring you the best of the footage I can right now here, just to give you a kind of an introduction to it. And then we will jump forward again to cold start it. Now, in addition to this, I'm also going to bring you some other videos I made of servicing the tractor and some other repairs. I'll bring those out in the future. And just in case you're wondering, because everybody always asks, there is another cat video coming shortly. So I'll be out there working on it tomorrow. Today's Saturday, or sorry, today is Friday. Got my days confused. So I will be out there working on it tomorrow, Saturday. Hope to bring it to you next week. So let's jump back to 2019 again and watch this. This is the first project I'm going to work on for my channel. Number of other things. If you look around the workshop, we've got some old rovers, a few other bits and pieces need attention, but I think we'll start off with something simple. So I'm going to begin by, I guess, giving you a brief history of this tractor. It arrived in the farm approximately 1978-1980. It spent its working life here on vegetable production, hence the row crop wheels with it at the moment. As you can see, it's had a pretty tough life. It's gotten to the point now where it's not in use for vegetable growth anymore. We stopped doing that a number of years ago. So it just sees occasional use. Unfortunately, the last few years it's become a bit dangerous. As you can see, no fenders fitted to it, no rollover protection, a few other issues around the tractor. So it's not going to be nothing but restoration. What I want to do is give it a clean up, make it safe, make it usable, and get it back into service. It's also not going to be a trailer queen, so no intention of putting this back to standard or doing concourse restoration on it. So just looking around the tractor, a few faults that I know of at the moment. Number one, tires are rotten. So with that in mind, we've taken the wide rims, had some new rubber fitted to those. Later in the restoration we'll just strip those back, let the air out of the tires, clean the rims, give them a shot of paint. I've started and removed the remains of the original fenders. Basically all that was left was the mounting brackets. So they're gone in the bin. 2 hours of misery with a grinder. Nobody wants to watch that kind of a video, so just skip past that. Moving on to the hydraulics. There's a problem with the lift at the moment. We've just got it stuck in the top position just to keep it out of the way. It's my belief that there's nothing major in there. It's most likely the filters in there haven't been changed. Servicing in this tractor really has been incredibly patchy over the years. So what we're going to do is lift the head off the hydraulics, probably flush out the bottom of the casing with some kerosene, refill it with oil and new filters. Moving on, gearbox. I've already gone ahead and replaced the main gear lever because this tractor had a habit of getting stuck in gear. That meant that we had to leave these bolts loose at all times. When you're sitting on the tractor, you get stuck in gear, just undo the bolts by hand. We used to turn the lever upside down, use it to pry the selectors back into place, but that's now fixed. The oil in the bottom of the box is absolutely horrible. It's a mayonnaise. I'll show it you later in the time. Again, what I'm going to do is remove the levers, drop a few gallons of kerosene in there, flush it all out the bottom, refill with oil. The electrics. So, tractor's already had a new loom, but I've only, basically all I've done is connect the warning lights, the ignition, alternator. It had electrical fire a number of years ago, burned out what was left of the original loom. So obviously I've got to add additional electrics for lighting, rotating beacon for road work, probably a trailer socket, a number of other things. I was having a problem with start yet, so I've already fitted heavy duty battery isolator. I just need to mount that properly. It was fitted with one of these cheap ones and it's just horrible. You get to crank the engine for probably about 5 seconds, then you smell the burning, you see smoke rising off it, and it will stop turning over. Moving on to the engine, which is probably one of the better parts of this tractor. So what I'm led to believe this is a Ford F3. I believe it was a Perkins design from what I've read in the past. So it's based on a Perkins P3, 3-cylinder diesel. These also came with export markets fitted with a 4-cylinder petrol engine. So the engine was stripped and extensively rebuilt in about 1998, or not even that, 1988. So it's might seem like a while ago, but the tractor's covered incredibly low hours since. Now, this engine can be hard to start, but I believe the problem is down here. I replaced the main fuel filter a number of years ago, and it became difficult to start after that. I think that the O-rings inside the filter housing probably are not sitting properly. There's also traces of diesel down here on the lines, which leads me to believe that when the tractor's sitting for some time, it probably pulls a bit of air into the system. Now I can try cranking it over in a moment and just give you an idea of what it's doing. Now, moving on, tin work. So, we really need to clean this workshop. Some junk out of here. Some rust in the bonnet, which I just intend cutting out and welding up. The front nose cone has suffered quite badly over the years. This tractor wasn't fitted with a battery for a lot of years. It didn't start on its own, so because it only did seasonal work and it worked for hours at a time, we used to bump start it by towing it. So you can see where it's made contact with the back of the tow tractor on a couple of occasions. So you can see where there's been impact damage caused in the past. Now, many years ago, I just plated some metal over the rust holes, then covered it with a bit of Bondo. Obviously that's not a good solution. You can buy these nose cones. They're, I think, about €290 plus VAT or thereabouts. But what I'm going to do is, and it's something I'd like to cover in a later video, I recently bought a new MIG welder, and I've got quite a lot of body work to do overall on the projects I've got here in the shop. So I'm going to make an attempt to repair this one, see how it goes. I've also seen second-hand nose cones. They tend to be very expensive. They still require work, so look, let's try and salvage what we have. Plus, it'll mean that we get to keep a bit more of the tin work original to the tractor. Okay, so this radiator is going to need some attention. This is the original rad. As you can see here, there's damage to the core. So what's happened is this tractor was left parked out in the field on a slope, which was quite common. We used to do that so that we could basically roll it down the hill, bump start it, because it wasn't starting on its own. It sat with the exhaust uncovered, cylinders have filled with water. So what they did was they brought in a JCB 410, used a ratchet strap with a hook like that to attach it to the back of the JCB. Wherever it was on this, popped the clutch, the engine hydro-locked, that hook came back, buried itself in the front of the rad. So tractor doesn't suffer from overheating, despite the fact that the water only comes up to this level. But I'm going to make an attempt to repair this rad. Now if that doesn't work out, I'm going to look at it on my own, see what I can do. The next step then is to take it to a radiator specialist, or else we just buy a new off-the-shelf rad and fit it up. But at the moment it's not having a massive impact on the tractor, so I think I'm just going to work on with some of the other works. We'll get to it later. As I've said, this is not a Concourse restoration. This is still a working tractor. It's expected to go out and do a day's work, so it's not going to be perfect. Another problem I've found is in these front wheel bearings. There's a lot of play. Not too familiar with these or how they work, so what I am hoping is that it's not wearing the spindle or wearing the bearing, that it's just bearing needs to be nipped up a bit. So again, we'll check all that. Now when I've got the tractor raised up in a jack, we'll check the condition of these, because they are known to wear right here, so we might have to replace this entire assembly, but we'll find that out later. Moving on to the opposite side of the engine, it's been upgraded to an alternator. This alternator is pretty new. I think it was fitted about 2013 or so, after we had the electrical fire. The fire wiped out the back of the alternator and burnt out the entire wiring loom. So basically what I did was I picked up some panel flex from a distribution board manufacturer that I do some work with, and made my own loom. So it's just a very basic loom, just to basically give us a starting circuit. I will be upgrading this to include for lighting and a number of accessories. Seeing as this will be on the road, we're going to have to fit a rotating beacon and a number of other things to be compliant with the current laws. Moving on to another item. Right in here we have got the exhaust manifold, or sorry, the inlet manifold heater plug. Just for the sake of it, I'm just going to drop in or switch on the battery isolator really quickly, and we'll just swing it over, see what it works. I really need to make a mounting, but I have a habit of just mounting these isolators straight off the battery lead and just leaving them hanging like that. So, produces a lot of smoke. Again, not sure if it's because there's an issue in the fueling. The engine really shouldn't have any wear. Now it's quite cold today, so that could have an impact. Another thing before I crank it again, the starter motor is a bit lazy. Sometimes it will start to turn the engine, rotate a couple of degrees, it will stop. There's a kind of trick to it where you move the lever up and down, and eventually you get it to do full rotation. I rebuilt the starter when I was about 14 years old, and really didn't know that much about starter motors. I fitted some new brushes, cleaned it up. So I'm going to have to take that starter off and give it a refresh as well, but I'll just give it another swing, see what happens. Okay, that's enough of that. Can't breathe in here. Okay, so that's basically where we're starting from. Now, we've already been out, we've bought some parts. This lovely exhaust, which I think started life on a Commer walkthrough van, or at least part of it. I know that we salvaged one of those some years ago and put it on here. That needs to go, so we've got a shiny new exhaust. Which I'm going to put on there now, because I just can't deal with the noise of this thing anymore. Also, as you may have noticed, the tractor's been running with 20 plus years. Well, no pre-cleaner fitted, so pre-cleaner. Now, what I want to do, I've also got some new reproduction fenders. Actually beautiful quality. For reproduction parts, I was actually shocked. Metalwork is nice and heavy, mounting points are nice, everything should line up pretty easily. Also picked up some foot plates to go with those. Safety is a big thing in this rebuild. It's probably one of the primary reasons. Make it safe, make it usable. It's absolutely lethal with no mud guards fitted and with no foot plates on there, no rollover protection. So we've also got a rollover protection just sitting over here. We've got our brand new tyres because the old tyres may even have been the originals, completely rotten. Inner tubes are starting to show through them. So we fitted brand new tubes, brand new tyres. So what I want to do is basically bolt up all the new tin work. Let's see how it fits. Even down to fitting the new lighting, fitting things like the road beacon, trailer socket, fit everything up. Build up the whirling loom to go with it. There's no point in doing this on the tractor which is fresh paint because we're just going to scratch it. So may as well do it now where we can afford to just hit things with hammers, move it around as we need to. Then we're going to carry out a full service. So going to drop the engine oil, but in addition to changing the external engine oil filter, there's also a gauze strainer inside the sump, so we're going to remove that from the sump, probably wash it out in some Caro or some petrol and put it in there, get some new oil in there, try and fix as many of the leaks as I can, service the fuel system with new filters. The tank was replaced a number of years ago. I believe the tank is quite clean. I've never had a problem with dirt in the fuel system, so I'm happy. There's no sign of diesel disease there. I don't think there's anything to worry about in there. Then, as I said, just service the gearbox. It's going to be a quick flush, refill it with fresh oil, move on to the back end. We're going to clean it out and pull the head, and I'm really not that good with hydraulics, so I think what I'll do when I pull this head off here is I'll run it down to one of my neighbours down the road, down to his workshop, get him to give it once over. There's a few known problems in these with pins that tend to wear to make the action lever sloppy and things. We get that checked out, fit the new filters, refill it with oil, And once we've got all that done, then we've got the entire tractor built up with everything on it, with lights fitted, all the rest. We can take the tin work off then that needs attention, weld that up, we put it on again, check everything, then we strip it down to a bare skid, degrease it, pressure wash it, steam wash it, and respray it. Now, colour wise on this, because it's a 1960, it should be the orange. You can see the remains of there in the old wheels, and the entire frame should be blue, orange grills, fenders in blue. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the later colour scheme up first. I've got the period correct paint from the New Holland paint range to go on here from the main dealers, so it will be the correct shade of blue, but personally I prefer white fenders, white wheels and white grills. It will match the match your 6610, so the two will tie in nicely. So it's, again, I want the thing the way I like it. I want to make it usable, and we'll take it from there. Thanks for watching. Right, we're just sticking earth on this thing. I'm not going to bother fixing it to the tractor now because I need to remove it again. Oh, I'm just going to be lazy. That nerfed it. Alright. Switch. Battery. Might actually start. So we're going around checking, like I can see smoke rising from down here. So the solenoid, I can feel the connections there are starting to get hot. Starter motor connection starting to get hot. Motor itself, not too bad. And smoke out of the exhaust. And that neutral lead really isn't up to much. That's alright. So Apart from those obvious electrical issues, I think that starter is half knackered. Another problem with this thing is the cold start. So that's the remains of the original, and there's two different types of system fitted to these. This has the earlier one, which used a primer bulb underneath the fuel tank in here somewhere to prime the system. Whereas most other flame heaters use diesel from the return line to do it. So I've got a modified kit, we'll fit that shortly. And another problem is the connection here into the lift pump was never quite right, and I think the filter isn't seated properly. Sorry, no, wrong filter, this filter. And I think might be letting air into the system. So I'm going to drain the tank, replace the tap, remove the fuel filter, seat it properly, fix up that line, install the cold start system, probably replace some of these battery leads, and we'll open up that starter and take a look. But in the meantime, let's try and get it started. Right. Ooh. I think it's time to get out of here for a while. And it was smoky. So we'll leave the smoke settle and start ripping into this thing, see if we can improve that starting. So we're going to leave it here for this episode. We're going to come back to this, and currently working on the tractor trying to make it start better, so I'm going to bring you a video on that shortly. And as I said, there's going to be cat videos and more Range Rover videos to follow as well. So make sure you stick around, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes, and appreciate it if you leave a comment below. So thanks again for watching, speak soon, take care.